Hey, and welcome to Property Mastermind podcast with Hilary Saxton. Today, have the amazing Bob Andersen with me again, and we're talking about what should my first property development be. So you need to listen to this if you're thinking about getting into property development, if you're unsure where to start, and maybe find out the different types, and that might help you clarify on what it is that you would like to be doing. So anyway, episode 24, let's jump in. Hey, and welcome to episode 24. As usual, giving away the Secrets of Property Millionaires Exposed. And this week, this book goes out to Sean Hayes. I made that up just now. So guess why I've chosen Sean Hayes?
Well, you tell me. You did it.
Because he's pretty funny. Sean's been in our community for a while. I think he did your mentoring, didn't he, Bob?
Oh, back in the day, yeah, he did.
Yeah, and he's doing really well in property development. So, Sean, I thought that you've got four children. I don't know if they're all boys. I think they are, actually. You might have one girl. Anyway, it's probably time they started reading books like this. There's a dude on the back you even know, I think, as well.
Yeah.
So, Sean Hayes, text me your address, mate. And Property Millionaires Exposed coming out to you. We'd like to see you in this book pretty soon. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll have a think about that. I know the producers of the book.
Alrighty. Anyway, Bob.
Yeah.
We are today talking about what should my first property development be. What a great topic.
A good one.
Yeah.
A good topic, and your first property development should be a good one.
Oh.
What do you want? What do you want out of it? Your first property development. Well, you want to make money. Yeah.
You want confidence.
That's
know
what
that
comes out of it.
Yeah.
Even more than the money. I mean, the money's good. We do it. We're not going to do a property development so we can break even.
No.
But one of the big things to come out of it is the confidence from actually having done your first one.
Absolutely. And to be able to know that you could go ahead and do it again.
Yeah, because as you know, property development's what I often say, it's a confidence game. And that's, there's lots of stuff that's a confidence game, I guess. And you're the expert on building confidence with people. Yeah, so, get that first one done, but do it properly, get it right, make a profit, learn from it, obviously, and build your confidence. So,
I think you just had a few things on the head there, Bob, is get it done, but do it right. A lot of people think that they can just do it on their own, and in fact, even just holding this book up, and this popped into my head now, I know Sean sends a lot of people our way. He actually does. Says you've got to do Bob's course.
Apparently it helped him.
Yeah, well, there you go. Apparently he was doing pretty well by the looks of it. But you're right, people can wing it and have a go, but it's just too expensive of a game to wing and have a go.
Well, it's pretty expensive when you make mistakes. So,
but making mistakes. But what if people could just do it better?
Well, that's
tweaking.
That's the thing.
How often do you say?
Minimise your mistakes.
Yes.
Because every mistake costs you money. And obviously some big mistakes cost you big money, little mistakes cost you little money. So absolutely minimise the mistakes and maximise the profit.
Yeah. And there can be just a $30,000 mistake, a $20,000 mistake, a $10,000 mistake, or and you can have more than one of those on each project. If you understand what's coming your way, instead of winging it, knowing where you're headed. Anyway, I'm just going to plug the course there, propertymastermind.com.au. Seriously, do the course, so worth it. Just to minimise that. Hey.
Oh look, you could sneeze and lose more than the course cost.
Yeah.
Easily. Just choosing the wrong architect could cost you 10, 20, 30 grand, wrong builder, and just there's so many things you've got to get right. And that's fine. Don't be scared by getting them right. There's help out there. Take it on.
Anyway, Bob, what should the first property development be in your mind? You've worked with enough people. Or do you think we should just go through them all? Or what do you think?
Well, we can. It's just twigged something in my head. What you were saying there is some people think you have to work your way through from, let's say, buying an investment property and then maybe another one and then maybe working up to a reno, maybe doing a couple of renos, all of that before you do property development.
You don't?
No, absolutely not. No, you can launch straight into property development. Maybe not a high-rise, but you can. And we've got heaps of examples in our community of people that have gone straight to property development. And I can think of some who actually don't even own real estate, and they've gone straight to doing a property development. The reason you can do that is that you can learn to do property development properly, e.g., do a good course or whatever. But you don't need the prior knowledge. The prior knowledge from a reno or the prior knowledge from having bought an investment property or even your own house is not a requirement.
No.
And so, don't think that, you've got to spend 5 or 6 or 8 years sort of graduating up to property development. Save you 5, 6 or 8 years and jump in.
Yeah, start now. Yeah, seriously, 10 years ago, you'd be kicking yourself, those people that wanted to have been thinking about it and didn't. With the way the market's grown recently, there'll be a lot of people thinking, I should have. And you know what? In 2 years' time, they'll still be thinking, I should have. The best time is now. If you've missed it, there's no boats. No. I mean, it's been good from an investment point of view, the way the market's gone up so much in value. But remember that developers create property not at retail price like the rest of the market. And retail prices have gone up a lot, haven't we? There's been a lot of price growth. We don't create it at retail. We don't create it at wholesale. We create it at raw cost. So as a developer, we get all the normal market growth, what we've had, plus we get all that extra created growth, that manufactured growth by creating an investment, if you like, or a property at absolute raw cost. So, and that happens with every development.
Absolutely.
Done right, for the correct fee zone and the right due diligence. Yeah. Anyway, so let's go through a few on, what... You've just started with you don't have to graduate from renovations and investing, although I did take that road.
Well, you're a prolific renovator.
Yeah, but I suppose I was a single mum. It was just easy for me, and I was living in New Zealand. There wasn't a property development course there. I didn't know where to start. I would not have done that now, but hindsight's a great thing.
Yeah, and you've done so many renos and done so well at it, far more than I have. I haven't done that many renos at all, really.
No, you did one at the start of COVID. I dragged you back to New Zealand to do my last one.
When I worked for you.
It was well lucky.
Had the tool bag on, had the whip out.
Oh, it was such fun.
I can remember.
We had a great time though.
Several late nights under the lights.
Yeah.
But it was actually good fun.
Yeah, we just did it for fun. It was for me, it was kind of my last one, I think, and we did it. Yeah, it was a fun thing.
Went out with a bang.
We went out with a bang.
Yeah. I did kick and scream and complain, but no, I did enjoy it, I suppose. Yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah, it was
glad
fun.
We did it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, renos aren't really property development.
No.
No, so what do you consider to be property development?
Well, I think probably what I've learned from you is where you take something that's one and turn it into more than one.
Yeah.
One, it can turn into 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, 150.
Yeah, you're creating more out of something, exactly. And where does it all start? Well, at the beginning, I guess, when you have one...
Like everything, Bob. You're amazing.
When you have, let's say, one lot, one block of land, and you turn it into 2 blocks. To me, that's where property development starts, because you're creating more. You're creating 1 into 2.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. And to me, that's where property development starts, creating more of. Creating an extra title in this case. So where does it all start?
Splitter,
absolutely.
2 lots, 1 title.
2 lots.
It's a paper development, really, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Because you don't really do anything apart from paperwork.
Yeah, spot on. So you're right, 2 lots on 1 title. That's pretty common in Brisbane, for instance.
Totally.
Lots of splitters there. Not less common in other cities.
What other cities also do splitters?
I've seen some in Sydney. I've seen a few subcouncils in Melbourne.
Why are they less popular, Bob?
Well, it's not that they're less popular. I think it's how they originally subdivided land.
Oh, yeah.
I think in Brisbane, the initial subdivisions were what they called 16 perches, which is an old form of measurement. These days, that's 405 square metres. And I think a lot of the lots, most of the lots in Brisbane were cut up into these 405 square metre lots.
Into 16 perches.
16 perches, yeah. And they're basically, I'm jumping between metric and other stuff.
So that's how they would have spoken about it. I'm like, what year would that have been? When would that have been?
Well, Brisbane, 1840s, 50s.
Right, they didn't have metrics then.
No
Were
metrics.
You there? Were you there, Bob?
Well, they probably had metrics in Europe, but we didn't get them in Australia till 1966, so not that you remember, way before your time. But anyway, off the subject, let's get back onto it. So those lots were, in current measurements, about 10 metres by 40. Or if you want to go back half a chain,
Oh God, stop with it. Stop with it.
chains and
Stop with the
roods
education
and,
on
I
that.
don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, so back to this. Most of the lots were cut up into, let's say, 405 square metre lots. Now, some people, when they were building their houses, bought two.
That's why there's so many 810s in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Well, there was.
Oh, 809s is sort of...
yes,
It's funny.
809.
Sort of I'm rounding out the metres because remember they weren't originally metres.
Right.
They were perches and they measured in chains. And so some people built on two lots.
Right.
And so that's two lots. But they amalgamated the titles back in those days and it made it cheaper for rates and council rates and all that sort of stuff. So two lots on one title, pretty common stuff. And so in a place like Brisbane, for many years now, we've seen lots of splitters being subdivided. Initially, all the quick ones went where there was a house to one side on one
easy.
lot, and you just cut the lot off. Not many of them left anymore. And then people think about moving the house sideways onto one of the lots.
And battle axes.
Yeah, well, if they're big enough, a little bit bigger battle axes. Well, that's a good point you've raised. The battle axe lots, that can be part of a two-lot subdivision as
So the
well.
battle axe means there's like a driveway down the side and it's got it looks like an axe.
Yeah, I call that the handle of the axe or whatever. Or some people call it a hatchet block.
There's been a few council changes that are making those a little bit more difficult with driveway spacing in Brisbane, isn't it?
Yeah, well, without getting too Brisbane-centric, the
Yes.
battle axe lot has to be bigger
Right.
in the sort of the basic zonings anyway.
Not the 809 squares.
No, because you've got a house out the back and if, you took the driveway off, it'd be so small and it'd be all stuck in there. So when it comes to the size of the lots that you can cut up into, that's very much a council by council thing. So wherever you live, you need to become familiar with the planning scheme of that council. And in terms of lot sizes, some of the rural townships have much larger minimum lot sizes than the cities, so, and less zonings as well. So, but yeah, look, you're spot on. That's where it starts. It starts at a splitter, two lots on one title. And as you said, it's just paperwork. You see, you don't have to subdivide the land into two lots. It's already two lots. It's the title that you need to
What does it
separate.
cost to cut a title?
Oh, just some thousands of dollars, really. I mean, to cut a title is very little. It's mainly a job for a lawyer and a surveyor, really. I mean, the thing needs repegging, needs resurveying, and a property lawyer can handle the paperwork through council, not through council, actually bypasses council, straight to the titles office.
Right.
Pretty quick. But it's the two-lot subdivisions a little bit different, eh? Yeah, so that's the next step, I guess.
Two-lot subbies next.
Two-lot subbies, I mean, they're both two-lot subdivisions in a way, but a splitter being easier. But in a lot of cities, I mean, that's where it starts. We've got one block of land we're going to cut into two.
Yep.
The good old 1 into 2, as we call it.
Takes a little bit longer than a splitter.
Yeah, and you need a development permit for that.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a bit different from a splitter where you don't need a development permit because it's already two lots. So 1 into 2 lot subby. Look, a lot of people cut their teeth there, as we've seen.
Actually, just recently, one of our mentoring students, he joined up to do a development. Then he realised that he's on a 2-lot subby, and he's actually going to knock down his own house, build duplex, and just get a brand new house.
Well, he's going to cut into 2 lots and actually build 2 separate houses. I think. Yeah.
So how cool's that?
So he's done his math.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Sent through his math. Bob okayed it.
Well,
gave it the whole. This would work.
There's $500,000 sitting in there for him.
Yeah, as well as a new home.
Well, he's going to get a new home. So that's a bit interesting in a way. So it's a block of land that he can subdivide into 2 lots, which he'll do. That'll be the first thing you do, get 2 titles. And then he's going to build 2 houses, one for himself. So that it might be the better of the two.
Schmick.
You know what it's like when you build your own place. You
There's going to be emotion.
Put extras in there,
We were talking about that too, weren't we? The differences.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the differences.
Because it's even like he's a crazy fisherman. And so he's working out, the height of his boat. He's going to dictate the height of the garage and all this sort of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, so that'll be good. And so that'll turn into 2 lots and that'll turn into 2 houses, one of which he's going to keep and live in.
Yeah, cool.
So I'd sell the other one. Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. So that's the 2-lot subby. Sorry, I interrupted there with because I think...
It's a good story.
Yeah, people don't always realise. And I suppose that a lot of people now do letter drops or, looking for potential either options or trying to find pieces of land that are that could be 2-lot subdivisions. But even that as a pitch, you could get a new house out of this and come out. It's not a bad option.
A good one. No. And where that works best, what you're talking about there, is if the property's owned by an investor, because it doesn't disrupt them. If it's an owner-occupier and they come into that, it could be, like you say, a joint venture, or they could end up, with one of the 2 new houses, which really I'll start off with some sort of joint venture. The problem is it disrupts them because they've got to move out of their house while it gets demolished.
And not everyone likes moving.
Not everybody likes moving.
Bob doesn't like moving.
No, I don't move often. So it's better in that respect if it's an investment property, and ideally one that doesn't have a long-term lease so you can get into it. But they're just things to think about. So the old 2-lot sub, 1 into 2 or 1 into 3 in some cases if it's a slightly bigger lot. And that has a lot to do with the zoning. Because if you've got a zoning where you might be able to do townhouses, you might also be able to do quite a small lot subdivision. In other words, where the lots are, reasonably small. They could be like, 280 metres or something like that.
And you find that the closer you get into the cities, the closer to, especially Victoria and New South Wales or Sydney, Melbourne.
Densities tend to rise, the closer you get to the CBD, and as those densities rise, they can open up.
Sites get smaller.
Yeah, open up opportunities. And look, that's a good thing. I know we've spoken about it in one of your other podcasts. I think we talked about highest and best use. But this is back to the thing that it could have several uses. You could have a site that, yes, you can subdivide, or maybe you can do townhouses, which we'll talk about in a moment, and maybe you can even do apartments. So you can have a block of land that has more than one use, and then you sort of got to sort out, well, what's the best use, or what's the use that I can afford? Maybe that's important.
And what's the end result? Is it for yourself? Is it for somebody else? Or?
Is it just a cash out, just going to sell? Yeah. So properties can have more than one use. So, but the good old subbies. I started on subbies. I cut my teeth on subbies, meaning a subdivision, by the way. A little bit of slang, I think. Most people would have worked out what I'm talking about. Subbies, not subcontractors. No. Different sort of subby. Plasterers and painters, but subbies. So often, if I say let's do a small subby, means a small subdivision. Property development's fraught with a lot of slang.
Slang and acronyms. Crikey. I think I've got it nailed, someone sends me a new one, but often that's different states have different slangs as well. It can be. What's next, Bob?
Well, I guess, once we've moved beyond the small land subdivisions, we can move into things like townhouses or... Well, actually, there's almost an in-between, isn't there? Like things like, and some people refer to a duplex as a 2 townhouse development, but I tend to think of like 2 things like that, like a duplex or a dual occupancy as one level, and then townhouses generally doesn't have to be. This is just my head. Yeah. 3 or more. Yeah. That's just my head. So duplexes. Well,
very common at the moment.
We're dealing with quite a few, aren't we?
Quite a few mentoring students, I've walked through many, virtually.
Yeah. And so that can get back to what I'm saying at the moment, not saying at the moment, said a few minutes ago, is you might have a parcel of land where you could do, let's say, 4 townhouses. We'll talk more about townhouses in a moment. You could do 4 townhouses. But an alternative use could be do maybe a more upmarket duplex. Duplex meaning 2 units or 2 properties. They don't even have to be joined.
Mostly they are, though, aren't they?
Yeah, I often think of a duplex as being joined on a common wall, but they don't have to be.
I didn't know they didn't have to. I always thought they were joined on a common wall.
Different terminology, like we just talked about. Dual occupancy, for instance, is a term used by some councils, and then they can be joined by a common wall. They don't necessarily have to be joined by a common wall, but nearly always are. And so it might be a trade-off. You might do your numbers and say, well, look, here's how it works with 4 townhouses, let's say they were 150 square metre townhouses together. Or it might be 2 220 square metre dual occupancy or duplexes, only joined by a common wall, but maybe, bigger, better standard of fit out, targeting a different market. It's more up. It might be the same block of land, but it's more upmarket. It just comes in underneath two houses. If you think of two houses being separate on their own title lots, then you've got two dual occupies joined by a common wall. It's pretty close. And they can be, you might make more money out of that than you would out of 4 townhouses, and that can happen. Not only do you make more money out of doing, say, a upmarket dual occupancy, there might be a little bit of a difference in costs, but
Why?
Probably not.
Whereabouts?
Well, where the difference is in time. So what I'm saying is
there
mightn't be much dollar difference in doing the bigger upmarket dual occupancy compared to 4 smaller average townhouses, but timing. And time's important.
Yeah, because time is money.
Well, I'm running out of it.
Well, you're running out of time.
I'm running out of time.
We're all running out of time.
We're all running out
It's
of time.
finite.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a subject in itself. But what I'm saying is the approval process can often be a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is the approval process can be a lot quicker on those duplex dual occupies because they're far less complex, and it's a quicker passage through council more often than not. The problem is that getting your development permit is up to council in terms of how long they take. And
Here we go.
No,
You're not going to climb on a soapbox here, are you?
I could easily climb on a soapbox about how long councils can take.
Hold on, everybody.
But the thing is that it's the one part of property development that you have virtually no control over. I mean, most phases of a property development, you have quite a bit of control in terms of...
And generally that you know how long something's going to take.
Yeah.
It's going to take 4 to 6 weeks for this. It's going to take, X. But councils, not only do you have no control, they vary.
Oh, enormously.
Yeah, like Victoria's, are they asleep? Are the Victorian people in Victoria? I don't know.
No,
What's
the
with that
council-
process?
Oh, look, if you have to average it out, things do get approved slower in Victoria than some other states. But, Victoria's a great place to develop. So, maybe that's the price you pay. But
The price of admission.
yeah, but you could be in and out of it a lot quicker on something like a dual occupancy. So even if it cost you the same dollar amount in terms of costs and your profits were, pretty similar to the 4 townhouses, maybe even if they were shade less.
Timing would push you to do it.
Time,
Yep.
yeah, and you can get through. Like, as you know, you're working with a number of the mentoring students, as I am, and some of those are doing good upmarket duplexes, dual occupies. And the approval process, I just saw one go through the other day, 5 weeks.
Yeah, how
From
good's that?
lodging to approval, 5 weeks. Now, if we were to lodge...
The cool thing about that one is he's never even seen the land because he doesn't even live in the state that it's in.
We've seen it.
I know, because it's close. We live near it, so I actually went and did a video of it for him. Not that he needs to see it, but just so he could feel like he's a little bit more attached to it.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting, 5 weeks.
Yeah. And 4's not uncommon either for that particular thing in that particular council.
Yeah.
And so if you can get in quickly like that, get in and out, makes the whole process, makes the whole projects quicker. You make the same amount of profit. So if you like, your return on your capital that you put into it is a lot higher because of the time.
I think, just in case you haven't switched onto it there, because there's lots of different levels of people listening to this property development wise, but Bob's referring to the use of your money, because the longer your money's out, that's interest, or you're not multiplying that as fast. So that, if you leave it out for a long time, as in if the development takes a lot longer, then it could have gone into something else. So that makes sense how I've explained it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the opportunity cost of money as well.
Yeah, the cost of opportunity lost.
You might be able to do 1.5 of... And remember, the build's going to be quite a bit quicker too than 4 townhouses.
Yeah.
Even if the square metres was similar, it's still quicker. But the square metres would be a bit less. So, yeah, getting your money back quicker is a good thing.
So what about granny flats, Bob? I know some states, they're called different things, and some aren't allowed them, and there's a lot of rules, especially where we are around them.
Yeah, some councils call them secondary dwelling, this sort of thing. Granny flats, I think the term came from originally that some councils allowed you to build a secondary dwelling, normally at the back of your property,
For
If it
mum and
was-
dad.
Yeah, well, if it was for a family member, at least, and maybe mum and dad or maybe granny. Not granddad. I just realised that's a sexist thing.
Well, maybe at the time
Not
it was
that I
because generally men are around less than, as in, they usually pass away earlier. How do I say
They
that?
do. The gap's
nicely?
closed a bit, thank goodness. But
Yeah.
I can remember when it used to be about 7 years. I don't think it's that long now. Yeah, so good old granny shacks up in the back.
That's why it's called a granny flat.
Yeah, granny flat.
But not everywhere has allowed them.
No, and typically you don't subdivide the granny flat off. That's
Plonk it on.
well, yeah, and this is back to council and council planning schemes in terms of can you subdivide off your back? You see, it's different from being able to subdivide off your backyard and building another house there, because then you end up with two lots,
Yes.
two houses, and you could sell the second one.
Yep.
That's different again.
Yep.
These are what they call secondary dwellings in some places. So it's a second dwelling on the same lot. And so you end up with a granny flat. But it's always on the one title. So if ever you sell your house, the granny flat goes with it. Now, you alluded to the fact that the rules are different in different councils, and that's quite true. Some councils are pretty cool with, I'll call them granny flats.
Do you want to call them granddad flats?
Granddad flats, others less so. And then there'll be probably a minimum size of the granny flat. Maybe it's 60 square metres or whatever it happens to be. And there'll be other rules around it, in terms of being able to have a granny flat. Where it can be good is if you keep it. I mean, you can sell it too, I guess. But like if you buy a property as an investment property and you can add a granny flat,
Whoa, we're talking income.
then, well, yeah, you are. You're talking more income. You're
You remember
calling it
that,
better yield.
Blake and Abby that I interviewed.
Yeah.
They're a young couple. I think they even live in Sydney, but it was over in Western Australia. They purchased a pretty rundown property, and then they put a granny flat on the back.
Yeah.
And they're nailing it over there.
Yeah. So reno the front one, granny
And
flat.
oh my goodness, what a job! They did such a beautiful job. They took us through the photos of it and stuff.
So remember that these days, a lot of the rules have changed, so it doesn't have to be granny.
No.
We might slangily call it
It's just called that.
granny flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can be rented to totally independent people from the other property, the other house. But yeah, in a way, that's a form of property development. Even though we're still ending up with one title, I suppose we're ending up with two buildings. I'll call that a property development.
Okay, but that gets over the
sorts.
line for you, Bob? Okay.
Not that anyone cares, but yeah, like those sorts of things, secondary dwellings, granny flats, yeah, that's an opportunity as well. I mean, you could even have an opportunity where that could be a whole brand new development altogether. Where the house was so badly run down that you demolish it and build a new house and build a granny flat. Those sorts of things are good
Different
to hold.
permits required for that sort of stuff. A little bit slower, but
they're good to hold as an investment because, as you mentioned, the yield's good, the income's good.
yeah.
Because you're building a building without having to basically purchase the land. You're building it on the same block of land as the house, so they can be good. And that leads us on to
Townhouses.
Yay!
Do you like townhouses, Bob?
Just that I've done so many of them. I did start off with land subdivisions, but then I moved into townhouses and did them I did townhouses for a long time before I ever did anything, like apartments. So townhouses, they're close to my heart.
Are they your favourite then, maybe?
Look, yeah, or even like a good upmarket duplex like we've talked about.
Yeah.
I like that sort of thing. Yeah.
So townhouses, villas.
Villas, as rightly mentioned, that's what I call a villa, and this is all down to semantics, I guess, is a single level type townhouse, as opposed to, in my own mind, I often think of townhouses being two levels and often joined. They don't have to be joined and they don't have to be two levels, but if you're talking about a single level, I tend to call them villas. What you often find is that on land that's zoned suitable for townhouses, you wouldn't normally do villas because they're single level, they take up
Too
more
much
ground space.
Yeah.
And therefore you get less on.
Highest and best use.
Yeah, and you're better off often going to the two-level townhouses. But then, if you go to Western Australia, they tend to have a zoning, I think it's R30, just off the top of my head, but I could be wrong, where it's actually a zoning for villas. Where it works with the single level type villa. and but you often don't have a single level type zoning that works well in most of the other cities. They sort of jump up to that 2-level townhouse sort of zoning to make best use of it, you know. But villas, the low set ones are good if it's an area that'll take a villa. What I like about them...
Yeah, people get older and stairs can be an issue for some people.
Yeah, they can be, yeah.
My knees aren't that great.
I've heard them creak.
They're great.
Like in that milk ad.
You can't teach pump classes for 20 years and not have creaky knees. I think I wore them out. But anyway, back to the...
You wore all your padding out between you.
Yeah, there's no synovial fluid there anymore.
No. So villas are good in this respect. They're cheaper to build on a square metre rate than 2-storey stuff, you know. They're probably $200 or $250 per square metre cheaper to build because they are on one level, a lot easier. They're quicker to build. And you've got a big market. So you've pretty well got anybody as a market.
Yes.
And older people who might not want 2 stories, well, you've got them. That's your market. So villas, if you can do villas are good.
Yeah.
But they're not always...
Cost effective
on that higher density sort of townhouse development. So you need to go to 2 levels. And that's typically what I think of as a townhouse, a 2-level...
Did many 2-level townhouses have elevators? Lifts?
Well, in some upmarket areas, you might see a lift.
I lived in one. I was just always so frightened I was going to end up trapped in it. Like no one else was home. You know those lifts in those sort of places. They're a bit frightening.
In apartment buildings?
Not big apartment, in 2-storey townhouses. Yeah, that's what I had.
Yeah.
I was just frightened that I'd be trapped in there and then I'd have to wait for someone to come and rescue me.
You could keep a demolition saw inside on the floor, take it away, hack your way out if you had to.
I never went in without my cell phone. Seriously, it was frightening. And I'd choose the stairs most of the time unless I had groceries.
Well, back to what you were saying about, could you put a lift in a 2-storey townhouse? You can, and ideally make it part of the original design. For instance, some of the upmarket duplexes that we're working on with our mentoring students, we've actually got an allowance for a future lift. So it only has to be an area of about 1.2 metres by 1.2, obviously on the ground level and on the next floor up because they're 2-level. At the moment, we're using them as a storage area.
Right.
But
how's that?
And you have to have a recess in the slab, about 100 mil. So that has to be designed into it, when the design, pouring the slab and all that sort of thing.
There's a tip for the future, everybody. Isn't that good thinking?
Yeah. Now, the reason for that is, depending on the age of the person that buys it, if they're buying it and they're still fit and healthy, they don't mind a flight of stairs, that's fine. But if an older couple were, an older couple who are downsizing or who aged in place, and they find, as they get older, they're sick of the stairs.
Aged in place.
Yeah, it's a bit of a retirement village term, but anyway. Yeah. Then they can easily put the lift in. It's probably about a $35,000 fit out because if you like, the lift well's sort of there.
2021. I've got to say that.
Yeah, in 2021.
Just in case that lady's listening from last week.
That's not a lot to add. I have seen them added on the outside of buildings, but then there's still a redesign because when you get out of the lift, you really need to be at a hallway or somewhere, and usually you can't do it. So. But good point with the lifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we go to apartments, Bob.
Well,
so we've gone from splitters, 2 hot subbies, duplex, dual occupancy, and granny or granddad flats, townhouses, villas, single level or 2-level or double or split level, or 2 or 3 or however.
2 or 3 levels.
And now we're going to move on to apartments. We're really climbing up the grade.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, yep. And apartments really is probably not where you want to start.
No.
I mean, start at townhouses. That's fine.
Just because of the complexity.
Yeah, and it's a totally different form of construction. It's what we call heavy construction. Now, if you think of a townhouse, the construction's pretty much like the house you live in. It's a concrete slab on the ground. It's timber frame walls, although if you're in Western Australia, they tend to have double brick. And, normally a timber floor on the next level, lightweight roof, tile roof, metal roof, doesn't really matter. Standard form of construction, class 1 building. When you move into apartments, quite different, heavy construction. An apartment building weighs a lot. Don't ask. I know you're going to ask me what is it.
How much does an apartment building weigh?
Yeah, you do that. I knew you'd ask me. I've got no idea.
I'm like the biggest why person there is. I always want to know why.
You'll probably
why?
work it out.
Why?
So because, and the reason they weigh a lot is that they're often made out of concrete blocks. The floors between the levels are suspended concrete. So lots of concrete, lots of steel, lots of concrete blocks.
Have you have the...
You're doing a tilt slab.
Yeah, tilt slab, and that should be heavy.
Yeah, tilt slabs weigh a bit because they're concrete, but they're quick to erect.
Yeah.
So that joint venture that you're involved in with a good mate of ours who's a builder, that's tilt slab, which is, I suppose, another form. I wasn't planning to go down that path, but you went there.
Yeah.
So it's heavy. It's heavy construction.
But fast, you're right.
But fast, yeah. So apartments, concrete slabs between the floors, blocks, columns, because everything's so heavy, very heavy building. That puts a lot of weight on the foundations.
Reinforcing everywhere.
So foundations have to be very strong, which means the ground has to be good. If you've got weak ground and you've got a heavy building...
Oh my goodness, every time we start talking, it just opens up. Now I'm like, people realise they've got to understand the ground. You can't just go and build something. It depends what ground you're on. And like we start talking about something, it just opens up so many other doors. We could talk all day. It just goes on and on. That's quite relevant, and it's something that we don't always think about.
No, and you don't have to be the expert that designs all this stuff. That's a structural engineer who'll design all the foundations.
There's a dude that does that.
Yeah, there's a dude you
or
pay
a
to do
dudess,
that.
yeah.
Dudess, in many cases. But yeah. But what I'm saying, it's heavy construction and it's more expensive. If you look at the square metre rates of apartments, much higher than the square metre rates of a townhouse. That said, often the apartments are a bit smaller than a typical townhouse as well, and usually they're just one level. So, but yeah, apartments are, and depending on the height of the apartment, I mean, there's so many variables, isn't there, with an apartment. It could be a normal, what we call a 3-storey walk-up. Doesn't have a lift, just has stairs. And that's fine, but then, people that live on the 3rd storey better have good legs and good knees.
Oh, I remember once living in an apartment that didn't have a lift, and so I lived at the top, was 4 levels up. Oh my goodness.
Up, yeah.
I remember when I moved in, I lost about 3 kilos just moving. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You're up, down, up, down.
Yeah, pretty well here in Oz.
It was
you can't go past 3.
Yeah.
It would have been one of the old ones, probably. But then, you can have a basement. So what do you do then? You might have so you got a 1 level to come up, then you got more stairs. There comes a time when you've got to put a lift in, obviously. There's under the code you've got to put a lift in, but just common sense.
It was Morningside even.
Yeah, trying to sell it. A lift. Lifts surprisingly don't cost a lot of money, but you need to design them into the original design, like we talked about. And lifts are cheaper now than they were 30 years ago. Back in the day, there was only 2 lift companies, and Otis and Coney, and they pretty well had a cartel or a monopoly on lifts. And whereas and then over the years, lots of other lifts come in, Schindler's and German lifts and Chinese lifts, and if you use those too, they're good. You get a good one.
The crazy thing about that place is I pretty much just rented it sight unseen, and I didn't realise. It was only when I was reasonably new to Australia, and I was like, I didn't even know. I just knew that was a good area.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll go live there. Yeah.
Just lots of stairs in that building.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So look, apartments isn't really where you would start in your development life. I mean, there's so many variables: lifts or no lifts, basements or no basements, how high, mix 1, 2 or 3 bedrooms. A lot of variables.
You're not saying don't do it. You're saying it's not the ideal start.
No, probably not. I mean, we have had students do apartments as their first project, but it's quite rare. I think start with what you can afford, where it's small subby, maybe some houses on top of the subdivisions, maybe some townhouses. Good place to start.
And a lot of people do the whole reno and build on the back.
Yeah.
Oh, you've had somebody do the mentoring program. Did he? Oh, no, that guy that joined up sent you an email a year or so ago saying you changed my life.
Oh,
he was already quite a successful go-getter in many different arenas, and then threw the hat in the ring to property development. He was Newcastle.
Good businessman.
Yes.
Outside of property.
I want to interview him, actually.
I think you should.
I will.
I will. We'll catch up.
But what did he started with 5 townhouses?
He started with 5 townhouses as his first development.
That's quite big for a first time.
Well, it's back to what you can afford.
Right.
I mean, if you could do 3, 6 or 9 townhouses, what would you do? My answer to that is it doesn't matter.
What can you afford?
But if you could afford 9,
do it.
you could do it. Because what you need to know and the process that you go through on 3 or 9's identical. The only difference is obviously 9's going to cost about 3 times as much, I should say, and it's going to take longer.
Yeah.
But it's the same work. It's the same amount of, pretty much the same amount of work. So you might, so if you had enough money and you could do 9 or you could do 3, you'd make 3 times as much profit out of doing 9. And it doesn't take 3 times as long. Wouldn't be anything like that. Probably 1.5 times as long to do it. So that's where that might be where you start. But most people don't have enough money to kick off with 9 anyway. So you start off with where you could.
And a lot of people want to do one on their own too. They don't want to do joint ventures. Not everyone wants to do a joint venture.
Not everyone does. Not everyone should.
No. So let's just wrap this up, Bob. What should my first property development be? Should it be a splitter, 1 lot, 2 titles, a 2 lot subdivision, duplex, dual occupancy, granny flat, townhouses, villa, 2 to 3 level, or apartments?
Yeah. I suppose one important thing is what can you afford to do? If you have a certain amount of money, if you don't want to bring an investor into the project, then it's what you can afford.
We didn't even talk about subdivisions.
Well, larger ones. No, but,
We're talking about the bigger, like actual making something.
Yeah, I guess sort of concentrated more on what's a good place to start. Small subbies are good. But if you can do 3 or 4 townhouses as your first project, then do that. Because remember, a townhouse development is a subdivision anyway at the end. You're subdividing the land, but you're subdividing the building that sits on top of it.
Yeah.
So at the end, we all end up subdividing things into so that we get separate titles, so that we can sell to separate purchasers. So, yeah, I think a lot of it's what you can afford. If you could afford to do some townhouses, that's nothing wrong with starting there.
And if you can't, find yourself a joint venture or a money partner. And
or a small subby if you're comfortable with that, if that's the way you want to roll. Because it's not just what you can afford, it's your level of confidence, it's who you've got helping you. If you've got somebody looking over your shoulder that really understands what's going on or whatever.
Is that you, Bob?
Well, it's a confidence thing,
back
totally to what we said in the beginning,
Well, that's it, episode 24. Some really insightful tips there from the amazing Bob Andersen with 38 years of knowledge and many years of teaching property and property development. I hope you find this really useful and we will catch you next week. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.